Warning, this story is not mine and is not about me. It was originally from reddit.com, but is being posted in video form in the spirit of sharing. This video was made simply to spread the awesomeness of this story. All credit goes to the author, and the link to the story is below. The Brown Mile. Okay, that's pretty bad. I posted this a while back, but now it's time to put up again. I feel your pain, just in a different way. I shit my pants when I headed back to Iraq after 2 weeks R&R. Every time I went back to Iraq from the US, I'd have the worst diarrhea for about 2 weeks. This time was a bit different. After 3 weeks of liquid shit pouring out of my ass, I decided to go to the military hospital in the Green Zone and see if they could help. I'm waiting in line with other people who have serious maladies, and when my turn came, I spoke to the waiting medics and told them about my problem. They in turn announced to anyone in earshot that I had a poopy problem and, do you need some medicine because your butthole hurts? They continued to berate me for wasting their time as they had other serious injuries they needed to attend to, and at this point, everyone in the waiting room is having a good laugh at my expense. They finally gave me some Flagyl for my guts and some Imodium and told me to get the F out of the hospital and to not come back again until I had a broken bone or a gunshot wound for them to work on. I gladly left and headed out the front door. I started to walk across the street from the hospital to the bus stop and had just put my right foot on the curb to step up from the street, and I had to fart. I didn't think anything of it and let it rip. In an instant, what must have been a gallon of liquid shit rocketed out of my ass, down my pants, filled up my boots, and began pouring out into the hot asphalt. Now here I am, right foot on the curb, left foot in the street, and frozen in horror and a really twisted Captain Morgan's pose, with shit leaking out of my pants. The bus pulls up to the bus stop, and the Pakistani driver opens the door, and in his Pakistani accent says, "Well, come on, buddy, let's go." I just turned and looked at him and said, "Nah, man, please just leave." He then proceeded to ask me why I was standing at a bus stop if I didn't want to get on the bus, and how illogical that is, etc., etc., etc. He obviously couldn't see the humiliating situation I was in, but at that point, everyone on the bus was looking and had a bird's eye view. So now, I'm arguing with the Pakistani driver, the rest of the soldiers on the bus are pointing, laughing, and taking pics. So I finally had enough, and told the driver, "Just please get the F out of here, okay?" So the driver gives me the finger, and says, "F you, asshole," closes the doors, and the bus pulls away, leaving me still frozen in my Captain Morgan's pose, with liquid shit creating an ever-growing pool around me. The US Embassy, where I stayed, is about a mile away, so I suck it up and began walking the longest mile I'd ever walked in my life. It was easy to follow me along my journey because there was liquid shit squishing out of my boots with every step along the way. So I finally get to the US Embassy, and if you think the TSA and Homeland Security Nazis at the airport are tough to deal with, you've never been through an embassy checkpoint manned by Marines. Only 10 people are allowed into the checkpoint at a time. Once inside, a heavy glass and steel door shuts, and you have to take everything out of your bag to be x-rayed and searched. You then have to walk through a metal detector and then get frisked. Once all 10 people have been processed, the exit door opens to this airlock-like room, and you can proceed to the embassy grounds. So needless to say, I'm dreading this obstacle standing in the way between me and my trailer, and ultimately showering all this shit off me. But I knuckle down and get in line. Eventually, I make it to the airlock search room, and one of the Marines says, "Damn, who ripped one?" I humbly raised my hand and told him that it was much worse and I'd had an accident. He walks over to me from behind the counter and said, "F, man, you're leaking shit all over the effing floor." "What the F, dude? One of us has to clean this shit up, you know? Effing asshole." Second time I've been called that in 30 minutes. So I apologize profusely while a couple of people are trying to politely conceal their dry heaving and ask the Marines if they could just please let me go on through. They replied, "Oh, F no, not gonna happen. You're gonna get searched just like everyone else, effing McNasty." So the two of them approach me closer, while the other 9 people are watching the spectacle, and proceed to play rock, paper, scissors to find out who's going to have to frisk my shitty ass. Rock ultimately triumphed over scissors, and a very pissed off Marine donned surgical gloves and frisked me. But only after I walked through the metal detector, leaving a trail of shit behind me, of course. After I was frisked and totally searched, I had to wait for everyone else to be searched. It took what seemed like an eternity. Finally, the door opens, and I begin the last 400-yard walk to my trailer, while passing people look at me with varying expressions of laughter, sympathy, and disgust. I finally make it to my trailer, and was especially quiet as to not wake my roommate. But alas, I wasn't quiet enough, and he woke up, sniffed, and said, "Damn man, what's that smell? Did you shit yourself or something?" Now I know he said that half jokingly, but then he wiped the sleep out of his eyes and beheld the horror that had just been the past hour of my life, leaking out onto the floor of our trailer. I just said, "Yeah man, I'll clean it up, but only after I shower if you don't mind." He just shook his head and hacked a bit, and then dry heaved a couple of times. I got in the shower fully dressed and proceeded to try to un-F myself out of this very sticky and smelly situation. After rinsing all the foul clothing and myself repeatedly, I quickly mopped the floors, changed clothes, and bundled up my uniform into a plastic bag. As I made my way to the dry cleaners, I tossed my boots into a dumpster, as there was no way a mile's worth of squished in shit was ever going to rinse out. I also happened to notice bits of the shit trail I left along the way, and this just added to my utter humiliation. I arrived at the dry cleaners to drop off my uniform, and the clerk asked me, "Why are they wet?" I told him that I had mistakenly put them in the wash a couple of days ago, but then removed them once I realized my mistake, and the reason they smelled so bad was probably mildew, since they'd sat in a plastic bag for so long. The Indian clerk replied in his Indian voice, "No, my friend, that smells like shit." To which I replied, "Look man, can you please just effing take my clothes and dry clean them? I'm having a real bad day." To which he replied, Okay, my friend, but don't be such an asshole. Talk about a bad day in Baghdad. Edit. TLDR, shat myself in Baghdad, walked a mile in it, tracked shit through the US Embassy security, into my trailer, past my roomie, showered fully clothed, and pawned off my shitty clothes on the dry cleaners. The end.